A very, very good morning. Thursday the 13th of July 2023, the morning after the night before. This is a members only transmission. Whether I put it out later or not depends on how this next half an hour or so goes. Let me play some parts to you from last night's council meeting first. Specifically around the Conservative amendments and the Labour Party. The Labour Party, the comments of a couple of councillors. I'm going to start playing now and then we'll talk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I welcome this motion that offers us a clear way forward while prioritising survivors and victims in all that we do. I wanted to put on record again the response that both Liberal Democrats and Labour politicians...
Can I please request? Please respectfully let people to speak and listen to them. Please. I think I've been very fair to everyone here in this chamber. Please, let members to speak and conduct us the meeting. I'm warning you first time now, please let us conduct the meeting, please. And I would appreciate silence and let people to speak.
I wanted to put on record again the response that both Liberal Democrats and Labour politicians have already had from the Home Office on the issue of last year's assurance review and on the issue of any public inquiry, because I think it's important to understand the full context as we debate this important motion. Last year, the Liberal Democrats in this chamber wrote to the Home Office asking them to instigate a public inquiry. The response that they received from the Home Office Minister for Safeguarding, Amanda Soloway, would not do so. And there is the response.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there for a second because I think you need to understand what he's doing. He's misleading. That's Councillor Graham Shuttleworth misleading members of the public. And what he is doing is claiming the Liberal Democrats wrote to the Home Office and the Home Office wouldn't support a public inquiry. Well, what the Liberal Democrats, what the Home Office response was, actually it's not for the Liberal Democrats as a minor opposition party to call for a public inquiry. It's for the council to act accordingly, and they're not in control of the council. And of course, the council can call for a public inquiry. So Graham Shuttleworth, if he's not a liar, is misleading. Graham Shuttleworth enjoys a massive majority in Chadderton Central, Chadderton North now. And sorry, he was in Chadderton South before. He's in Chadderton North now. No, he's in Chadderton South. Sorry, my apologies. Graham Shuttleworth enjoys a massive majority in Chadderton South. When we ousted Arud Shah in Chadderton South, I led a campaign that replaced him with Robert Barnes. We could easily replace Graham Shuttleworth off his lies, but it's not for me. It's not a task for me, I'm afraid. But I wanted to stop there and share, first of all, how Graham Shuttleworth is misleading and, I'd say, in my opinion, lying to not to the council chamber, but lying to the town.
In addition, I think it's vital to put on record that in debate in the House of Commons in June 2022, Home Office Minister Rachel McLean took a clear view on those that were seeking to undermine the integrity of those working to tackle CSE in Oldham and elsewhere, when she said, "I can say from my position as a Home Office Minister that to call into question the integrity of the law enforcement professionals who dedicate their lives and careers to investigating these incredibly disgusting and abhorrent crimes, outrageous. It is completely wrong."
Okay, I'll pause there. He's claiming that the Home Office Minister is criticising us for wanting a public inquiry, and it's wrong to call in question the decisions of the law enforcement. That's not the context of what was said. Again, this man is a liar, he's deceitful, and the reason he's doing that is to cover it up and try and silence us, because you and I both know that the Chief Constable and the Chief Superintendent of Oldham Council as well, Chris Bowen, as well as Chief Constable Watson, have repeatedly apologised for Greater Manchester Police's failings. That's a matter of public record.
We have been told clearly that these issues are for us locally to determine, that we are responsible for driving improvements in local services for the good of local people, and we are seeking to do that with this motion. We take our safeguarding responsibilities seriously here in Oldham. All 60 of our elected members are expected to take part in the safeguarding training, and I know that attendance is always high. So I'm confident that the Council has the right tools in place to make this a reality quickly, to empower members to support victims and survivors in the right way and ensure justice prevails. And perhaps when Councillor Quigg stands up to give his right of reply, he can confirm whether he and his colleagues have actually undertaken the adult and children safeguarding training. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can I ask Councillor Bashford, but can I also remind, can I please remind that we're running really out of time, so Councillor Bashford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'm really sorry, just 1 second. Let me just reply to the lady. These are the rules set by all these. These rules are all set by your political leaders. I have to just follow them. So if we have another interruption, I will have to adjourn the meeting. So I'm respectfully asking you, please let them speak, please. Councillor Bashford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm the last person to try and defend the police or the council or anyone who's failed, so I'm not going to do that. But I want to make the point that we should be having debates and discussions like this. It is healthy for democracy, and while we might hold different points of view how to achieve this, we're all aiming for the same point. We all want to improve people's lives and better protect people. But we shouldn't be using the tragic and horrendous experiences of the men and boys, the women and girls who have suffered abuse at the hands of evil people for political gain. I'm continually appalled that there are people doing just that. People who are adding to the worry, hurt and anxiety of those who have already been badly let down. Child abuse, any abuse, is not to be weaponised for political gain. There is nobody in this chamber who would tolerate or condone any sort of child abuse at all. None whatsoever. And there's nobody in this chamber who would not expect the most severe penalties the law can subject on those found guilty of these evil, horrendous crimes. That's not the picture some people are painting, though, I have to say. This isn't an issue to be tackled by casting aspersions, by coming up with conspiracy theories, by encouraging false, outrageous and sickening claims towards good people who would have nothing to do with it at all. This is not an issue to be treated as a mudslinging political race to the bottom. What this is an issue of is an issue that should be tackled by putting the survivors first, by putting the victims first, by being sensitive and sympathetic to the survivors' wishes and needs, and ever mindful of the terrible experiences they've endured. Any right-minded person will agree this is about real people's lives, real people who have suffered and endured real evil. Any right-minded person will also agree to use these people's suffering to further a fleeting political game is almost as disgusting as the crimes committed. So let's move forward. Let's move forward together. We all have the same aim, united in the shared goal of making sure this town, this council, the people in here, and the police force, the social agencies are all doing everything that can be done today and tomorrow. So, just to finish, the UK government are with us on this, and so's the highly respected Maggie Oliver Trust. So I hope everybody in this chamber can be with us together. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Maggie Oliver was referenced several times in this motion to block a public inquiry and support Labour Party's position that they did everything possible, they were commendable, blah, blah, blah. Maggie Oliver, Maggie Oliver's foundation was mentioned multiple times by Labour Party politicians. I was outraged. I asked some of you, I asked you last night to contact Maggie Oliver. I contacted her this morning. She responded, or the foundation responded to a friend of mine this morning, and the foundation and Maggie Oliver herself responded to me this morning. I'm just going to bring up the email. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to bring up the email. Hi Roger, so I sent her a message, you can see 8:18, I drafted it and waited. 8:18. Hi Roger, she responded 8:25. Let me first of all try and bring up what I sent. Dear Maggie, I trust you are well. Hopefully I will have the opportunity of meeting you in person one day soon. We've only ever liaised by emails and stuff. Sadly, events in Oldham took another turn for the worse last night as the council yet again voted down calls for a public inquiry. Instead, they will be writing to the government to note how determined they were to protect children, and whatever failings were taking place in Oldham were also taking place at the time elsewhere in the country. Whilst I am not surprised by the audacity of Arud Shah and the Labour Party-run council's position, what I was shocked by was the repeated claims that you and the Maggie Oliver Foundation were supportive of Oldham Council's position that there was not a cover-up and that there is no need for a public inquiry. Furthermore, they suggested that you were fully supportive of the assurance review that took place, both its process which failed to interview survivors and findings which refused to quantify how many children were raped, and that any further campaigning for a public inquiry was detrimental to survivors. As you know, I have nothing but the utmost respect for both yourself and the Foundation, and would be grateful if you could confirm if Oldham Council consulted with you before last night's council meeting. I would also appreciate if you would clarify if what they are claiming regarding receiving your endorsement as part of the rationale to vote down a call for a public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of Oldham's children has any truth to it. I appreciate that you are extremely busy and would not have contacted you if this matter was not of the gravest importance. Survivors and their families sat in the public gallery with tears of anguish when they heard you were on the side of the council and that there was no need for a public inquiry into what has taken place in Oldham. I look forward to your response. 8:18 in the morning. 8:25, Maggie Oliver responded. Hi Raja, thank you for reaching out to me directly to clarify the truth of the matter. I appreciate that. Can I just ask you to bear with me on this, please? I too heard what has been said last night, and to be honest, I am incandescent with rage and will be addressing this. Incandescent with rage. But please be assured that the words quoted were absolutely not mine. I had not given any consent for this to be stated, nor do I have any idea who the people were quoting me. And I feel very much that my name and that of the foundation has been used for their own agendas. But please rest assured that we will be dealing with this today. Feel free to pass my comments on to anyone who was there and ask them to be patient, as we will be making a public statement about this behaviour, which, to be honest, does not surprise me in the slightest. So that came to me straight from Maggie Oliver within minutes of me contacting her this morning. My friend Nick Summerscales wrote to the foundation last night. The foundation responded to them at 7 a.m. this morning. The foundation I'm reading this. The foundation categorically denies Steve Bashforth's statement. I've agreed to... That's it. The foundation categorically denies Councillor Stephen Bashforth's statement. The Maggie Oliver Foundation are not with Oldham Council on this. They lied to you last night. They lied in that council chamber. And the reason, Gary, with the greatest respect to you, my friend, and everyone else here, the reason why they think they'd get away with it is because they've been getting away with it for decades. They've been getting away with it until this platform came along and this work started. That's why they've been getting away with it. There was repeated references to Maggie Oliver from a number of councillors. The strategy was the victims don't want a public inquiry, and neither does Maggie Oliver or the foundation. Who's going to sue him for libel? I'm sorry. No one's going to sue him for libel. They get away with it. And they get away with it and they get away with it. And unfortunately, our councillors are yet to be strong enough to stand up to them. Why am I sending an email? Why is Nick Summerscales contacting them? Why have our councillors not contacted Maggie Oliver? Why have our opposition councillors not issued a statement after last night's council meeting? I look forward to Maggie Oliver's statement and the foundation statement. Outright lie by Bashforth and others, clearly. And they will just get away with it because the opposition in the main, in that council chamber, lacks a backbone. No. I don't even think that, mate. I don't even think that. Also in the council chamber that evening, when the motion was defeated, the amendment was defeated, there was no recorded vote. If you remember. And then later on the fails of independence motion for a public inquiry, Brian Hoban wasn't even allowed to speak and present the motion. The meeting got pulled twice, suspended twice, and they had to finish it off in a bunker. In relation to the public questions, Arud Shah refused to answer them. And Shahid Mushtaq claimed asking if the leader of the council and the councillor responsible for education and the mayor, not the religions, the position holders were going to Oldham Pride, was a racist question. Julie Hayward was a racist for asking the question. That's what he claimed. And that was allowed to go unchallenged. Mark Ince, to give him credit, stood up and tried pinning him down, changed his question as a leader. This is a council out of control, and this is why I pushed. And I tried my best, and it's fine. The opposition councillors weren't ready, and I was wrong to ask them, so I apologised unreservedly. That's why I pushed for a vote of no confidence. When they are lying to you outright in the council chamber and using the names of respective campaigners such as Maggie Oliver and her foundation, and her foundation, and lying to legitimise their position, when they are claiming that a member of the public that they've never met is a racist who dared ask a question if the leader of the council was going to support Pride. When a mother of a child who committed suicide is screaming with anguish in the public gallery, and they are whitewashing everything that's took place. When we notice the bravery of councillors such as Lewis Quigg, not because they are brave, but because that bravery is such a rare thing in that council chamber. So that's what took place yesterday evening. So wait for Maggie Oliver's answer. We'll get a press statement from the Maggie Oliver Foundation. As soon as it comes, depending on what time of the day it is, I'll come back and go through it with you. I think credit to Maggie Oliver. She's got back to me straight away, and the foundation has got back to those of you who've contacted them almost immediately. They are equally outraged, and in the words of Maggie Oliver, incandescent with rage. Incandescent with rage. She refused to answer that question, and saying, go back to my statement in 2019 is completely inappropriate. That question should be submitted again, along with a number of other questions. I've had nothing but criticism for Zahid Chauhan. I thought he chaired the meeting very well. I've had nothing but recent criticism for Brian Hoban. I think he stood up and spoke well. If there was anyone fighting that corner, it was him and Lewis. It wasn't coming from anyone else, was it? Graham Sheldon, Howard Sykes, no. Markins did very well. It was his first meeting. He did very well. There's also cartel civil war being played out. My phone, I woke up to 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, with messages wanting to know if there was a recorded vote. Because all the Muslims, they're not angry about the grooming gangs. They're angry about my Muslim friends. They're angry about the Muslim graveyard. And apparently there will be consequences in the community. I presume the vote will be pulled from some individuals. It won't. The cartels are stronger. They just flex their muscles. I thought Councillor Gafford's behaviour was atrocious, if I'm honest, on reflection. He's a councillor. No matter what someone from the public gallery says, he should not be getting involved in that exchange. It's for the mayor, it's the mayor's meeting, and the mayor should have reprimanded Councillor Gafford for his behaviour. I've seen Charlotte Green's statements. Very one-sided story. The woman was, her son has committed suicide after being groomed, gang raped, and no one did anything. So when she said, I hope your children get raped and they die, what she was actually saying, or trying to convey, was, see how you react and how you respond if you were ever put in my position. You're at the meeting, yeah? Well, Maggie earlier did that, great. Sorry, Tony, we can only see where the cameras point at our end. So the meeting was a complete shambles. It was chaos. It was chaotic. The grooming gangs remain unpunished. Those who protected the grooming gangs remain unchallenged. And business continues as normal. Graham Sheldon talked about 14 Labour seats going, as though somehow he was responsible. And that 2 more going next May. Well, I wish you all the best with that. Those of you who are campaigning to get rid of the last 2 seats in May, next May, I wish you the best of that. What would ordinarily happen now is I would be working with people to get the next set of questions in. They need to be in today, tomorrow, to be first, second, third, fourth, fifth on the list. The Labour Party will have already submitted their questions. Don't think anyone submitted a question yet. And I'd be picking up on that. So if you have any questions, please do get in touch and I'll try and tidy them up for you. There's some FOIs that need to come as a consequence of the council meeting yesterday. Again, if you have any FOIs that you picked up on, get in touch with me and I'll try and help you tidy those up. I will update you once Maggie Oliver's issued her statement. It'll probably be on the Telegram page. So keep your eye out. Eyes out. Eye out, eyes out. Anyway, whatever it is. Appalling council meeting. It was a genuinely appalling council meeting last night. Probably the worst one they've ever had to conduct. And Stephen Bashforth stood up and lied. Who's going to challenge Stephen Bashforth's lies?
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.